Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I'm not necessarily here with news per se, but rather a counterpoint to another bit of news somebody made. As you know by now, Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019 has an interactive globe on its Monarch Sciences viral marketing website, and all over that interactive globe are various outposts, only 3 of which are interactive, because they are the outposts for Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan respectively. And of course there's also the Godzilla tracker, showing Godzilla as he sails around the Pacific doing whatever it is he does when he's not fighting other monsters. Now, a recent Screen Rant article noted Godzilla's position in juxtaposition to one of those outposts, particularly this one in the ocean, and decided that this outpost must be Skull Island. That, of course, being the same Skull Island where King Kong lives, and thus this is one of our hints at Godzilla vs. Kong. One of those breadcrumbs Michael Dougherty was talking about. Now, while the article is right in noting that Godzilla sailed right past this outpost without paying it any heed, I have my doubts that it's Skull Island. In fact, I'm not entirely sure Skull Island is on this globe at all. Alright, I concede that technically we don't know where Skull Island is in the Monsterverse. The movie Kong Skull Island only mentions that it's in the South Pacific and leaves it at that. Doesn't give any sort of location other than the South Pacific. Now, of course, any region of the ocean beneath the equator could be deemed the South Pacific, and this outpost does appear to be just below the equator, if that particular latitudinal line is the equator, mind you. They don't include that many. It looks to be just about in the right place, give or take a few nautical miles. All that being said, though, I'm still not entirely sure this is Skull Island. First of all, as far as we know, Monarch doesn't have outposts on Skull Island. They didn't leave any outposts there in the movie, and the prequel comics shows Monarch agents staying there, but that doesn't really qualify as an outpost per se. Of course, I'm usually the first person to point out that multimedia tie-in material isn't solid canon and subject to being overwritten by the main material, so I'm not going to use that as my primary bit of evidence. Rather, I'm going to draw evidence from the movie itself. Take note of where this outpost is. Lock it in your mind, okay? Now, the movie Kong Skull Island opens with a prologue set in 1944. In said prologue, 2 pilots, one from the United States of America, the other from Imperial Japan, crash on Skull Island. It is strongly implied that they were engaged in a dogfight prior to this. Now, that still doesn't tell us the exact location of Skull Island, but it can give us a better idea. I looked up all kinds of maps showing the Pacific Theater during World War II. On every single one of them, Imperial Japan's sphere of influence only extends up to a certain point. The farthest east they ever get is Hawaii in 1941. You know what happened then. That, of course, was the point they were still expanding, and they didn't stick around in Hawaii. They just went there, dropped their bombs, and then flew right back to their nearest outpost. By 1944, the American Navy was pushing the Japanese back in the direction they had come, kicking them off all the islands and sending them back to the mainland. Now look at the location of this outpost again. That outpost is clearly much farther east than Hawaii. Now realistically, if the Japanese never got that far when they were winning the war, what are the odds they would have gotten to that point while they were losing the war? The implication therefore is that Skull Island is not in that location. It's somewhere more in this area, where Godzilla is currently heading. Or rather, was currently heading. He's on his way to Australia now. Of course, it is possible that a battle between the American and Japanese navies did occur in this region of the world, and it was so obscure that even a history buff such as myself forgot about it. Or perhaps there was just an oversight somewhere, though whether it was on part of the viral marketing team or on part of the Skull Island production, I have no idea. Even so, I have my doubts that this is supposed to be Skull Island. And if that's the case, then Skull Island doesn't appear to be on this map at all. Perhaps Monarch doesn't want people finding it, which ties into, well, I'll save that for a different video. So of course the obvious follow-up question is, if that outpost isn't Skull Island, what is it? Well, didn't the trailer clearly show an underwater location that was full of ruins and cave paintings depicting the monsters? I'm honestly kinda surprised that's not what people think. Of course, at this point, we honestly don't know. All I know is that I'm skeptical about this being Skull Island. And my skepticism is due to that pesky thing called history. But I suppose if anyone has some kind of evidence to suggest this is Skull Island, they're free to leave it in the comments section. So yeah, this wasn't exactly news today, but I felt like doing something. I mean, there certainly hasn't been any other Godzilla news of late. Nope. Not a thing. No other Godzilla news to speak of. Certainly not a 16-second long trailer for the third anime film which presents no new information. I've never heard of such a thing happening. So you know the drill by now. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.